Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Today, I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here's a quote I picked just for this episode. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus. Today, I have a good friend, dear friend, Anthony Mirarchi, one of the principal owners of JM Patton Associates. But beyond that, beyond consulting, being the consigliere of businesses to mitigate risks in an unbiased view around, well, a whole holistic approach of insurance. Outside of all that, this is a great friend of mine in the Culture Matters podcast. Actually, the last time you were on, way too long, December, anyone listen to this, episode 12 of the Culture Matters podcast, you'll hear us. It's going to be a completely different conversation. Go check out that episode. Wow, it's great to have you back on, my friend. And I don't even know how many years have we been friends now at this point? I was thinking back. Wow.
Been a while, man. We met at the it was a New Year's event up at Waterworks in Philly. It was a great night, man. It was a while ago. I mean, it had to have been like, what, 16 maybe? I don't know when that was.
You didn't just learn culture then, you learned that I can't dance.
You and me both. You and me both. You and me both.
I get like the first thing that comes to my mind is like, if there's one thing that sticks out of what you learned in the last 4 years, because it's almost been 4 years, what would you say that is? As an entrepreneur, as a go-getter, as an ambitious individual, I'd consider you that. Someone I always learn from when I get to talk to you. What's the lesson? What should our audience be thinking at this point?
I mean, listen, it's going to business for yourself is not for the faint of heart. I will say there's difficulties, ups and downs. You know what I mean? I think that's overlooked a lot by, it's not all like good people. They talk to entrepreneurs and it's like, even on Instagram, it's like, oh, yeah, he's making a lot of money, and it's like, I don't think, and this is not to disparage going into entrepreneurship at all. This is just the reality of it. I think people are somewhat disillusioned, and because of that, I think people may quit quicker because they're like, oh my God, I should be succeeding like I see on, Instagram and all these influencers and whatever they're talking about. And in reality, it's not, not call it what it is. I think it's a lot of shit a lot of time. And, that's a big lesson to learn. I've been always doing my own thing. Jay, you know that. I've been doing this. I was an engineer and did that for a year. And I went to New York as an equity trader for 9 years, 4 years in New York and 5 years in Philly. And then I got into the wealth management side. And that's where I learned the insurance business. And then, I went just into the insurance business. And it was like, I've always done my own thing. So I've always known it's been very difficult. But, I don't think you ever stop learning how difficult it is. You know what I mean? I think you just learn to cope with it better. I think that's really the lesson. And not to let, those type of failures discourage people. You know what I mean?
In the spirit of being real, because I like where this is going already. How important is it to be self-aware or honest with oneself when they're an entrepreneur, in your view, like about what's really going on?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you need to be around people that are going to be honest with you about it. You know what I mean? Because I think the worst thing is to set yourself up for failure, because you go into it thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be easy. Like I said, you become discouraged very, very easily. You know what I mean? And that may prevent you from, you gotta keep on pushing on and keep going ahead no matter what happens. And I think thinking it's going to be easy is that's a bad thing. I think that's a bad thing. And I think can prevent people from succeeding, which is an unfortunate.
How important has been a long-term view? And the reason I ask that is like, we got to know each other almost 7 years or give or take. Yeah. And I just remember those early conversations of you telling me what you were going to be doing, and you're actually doing it today. I don't know if you think about that sometimes. I remember these conversations.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think not to be like cliche or kind of weird about it, but I think like what you put out there, it's not. People say like the book, The Secret, like you put it out to the universe, it'll come to you. I think that's a half.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my check.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, the $50 million check, whatever.
I wake up every day, I check the mail. Nothing.
Yeah, it's not there, right? Unfortunately, you have to work for it. You know what I mean? I think it's a half truth where it's like, yeah, you got to put it out there. Putting it out there means it has to be in your head, and you got to be thinking it all the time, and you have to nurture that. And I think eventually, if you're listen, I'm just stubborn. I don't know, maybe that's a good or bad thing. I'm overly stubborn, and I just like I won't take no for an answer. I won't take failure. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
you just, I don't think I haven't attained 100% of what I want yet, like professionally, but it's a kind of work in progress. You keep on pushing on, and you find your levels of success. You know what I mean?
Do you think it's important to feel like the tank isn't full to just keep pushing, keep moving forward? Like, you don't come across as the complacent type.
Yeah,
I
listen, man,
don't.
everybody can get there. Everybody can. I mean, I try to, remind myself not to be complacent, because you're always trying to grow the business. You're trying to, I think if you stop growing, you're gonna die. I think, not in the real sense, but meaning like the business. If you don't try to find new nuances or new niches, or you don't try to find ways to expand yourself or whatever, ultimately, I think you'll fail, in the sense that you'll wither away. You have to be constantly trying to grow, or otherwise,
Mm.
it's, I think it's doomed for failure. Unfortunately, I mean, I think it's just the reality of it.
Is
Complacency
this,
is a killer. Complacency is a killer.
and this is good leading to business context. Like, is the city Philly? You're in Philly physically.
Yep.
Is it coming back to life? And I mean, part of that's my bias of feeling like it wasn't alive for a little bit there. I mean, we've been through some interesting times, but like, is that energy back? Because I remember when I first
Um,
moved out there all those years ago, God, the energy, I was like,
yeah, it was
when we
hype.
met, when we first met,
It was hype.
the city of brotherly love. We were high-fiving in the street. I would still walk around in my
It was
city.
hype. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see it the same way anymore, and I think that's a lot. There's a lot of political reasons for it. I think there's a lot of, for whatever reasons, they're trying to change course on how they want to handle certain issues in the city and whatnot. And it's failing, as far as I can say. I mean, not to get political. I mean, I just think the policy is just not good for the city in general. You have higher crime. You have, for whatever reason, why they just don't want to do certain things or whatever. So my answer is no. I don't see it like I used to. I mean, you can see like a lot of business locations, like, people are leaving. They're going to outside the city. I mean, taxes. I mean, I'm actually looking myself to leave. So
What's your advice to someone of how to handle an environment that's changed around them
I think you
when
need
they're
to
an entrepreneur, when they have ultimately the responsibilities on their shoulder to perform?
listen. I from COVID, a lot of things have changed dramatically, right? We learned a lot of lessons. For as bad as it was, I mean, some things have come from it that you got to learn from everything. Every experience you have to learn from. You know what I mean? The you know, I don't love this idea, but some businesses can thrive not necessarily coming into the office. That's the reality of it. Do I subscribe to that? I go into the office every day. I've been going in there even during COVID. Like, I was in, like, it started in March, and like end of April, I was back in the office. You know what I mean? Because just that's the way I like to work in the office. I need to get out of the house.
Important for your head.
Yeah, get your mind started. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think some businesses can thrive, and I think like most of my employees work from home. I got to be honest. I mean, I don't necessarily love that idea, but it's working for everybody, and we're actually working pretty efficiently, actually. You know what I mean? So it hasn't impeded; it actually has helped us in some degree. So because of that, like me myself, and this goes back to, and it's not political. This is more from a tax standpoint. It's not advantageous for me to be in the city anymore. Like, I'm getting beat on taxes. You know what I mean? It's just not.
Wow, that makes me think of that commercial real estate bubble that people are talking about. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because
Yeah, I do.
so
I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable. I just don't think you're not seeing storefronts aren't there. I mean, storefronts are leaving because of the issues that have been created by certain policies being handled in the city, like, not handling crime properly. And, so you're seeing a lot of businesses leaving because of that. Stores are getting ransacked, whatever it might be. And the city doesn't want to prosecute, whatever the case might be. So you're seeing people leave just for that reason alone. It's not safe. People don't feel safe. Employees don't feel safe coming into the city. That's a problem for an employer. If your employees aren't happy, you at some point you're going to cease to have a business. You know what I mean? You got to keep your employees happy. So, you know what I mean? I think it's a sad reality, but I think it's almost inevitable that I mean, listen, what's going on even right now? I mean, you're starting to see from what I understand, and I don't know this business that well, but commercial real estate usually are on a variable loans. So they're losing people, right?
Mm.
That's the first problem. There's no real reason they have office space they don't really need anymore. Then you have these variable rates. So like, as people leave, the business owners are like, well, I don't necessarily need to be in the city anymore, so they're leaving. Then the landlords are like, wait a minute, I need rent, and now the rates are going up because I'm on a variable rate. Like, it's just creating a complete mess. I mean, I unfortunately don't see it getting any better anytime soon anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm in a 6-year lease. I just did a 6-year lease. When did I sign that? Not this past November, the November before. I did 6 years, but I put a 3-year out clause in it. So I'll be out of it in, another less than 2 years now, but I'll probably just leave just because I'll save more by being outside the city. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, and I think a lot of people are probably experiencing the same thing. I mean, they're probably just like, we'll just eat it and just get out and we'll go start somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Now, is that like, what are your thoughts around the fact that if essentially your organization has been there physically for decades? I mean,
Decades.
yeah.
Yeah.
So think about that's like a culture shock in a sense. So
Yeah, I mean,
is that a
listen,
metaphor of times are changing and we gotta
you got to move with it, man. You got to change. You got to
how
be like
do
a
we,
cockroach, man. Cockroaches have been able to, they've
oh
been
that's
around forever because they know how to, get around the situation as things change. You got to be able to do it. You got to be able to move it. Like, listen, nobody's coming into like clients now. Like we have a lot of like, we're commercial property casualty, but we do all lines of insurance at this point. We don't, clients don't come to the office. If they want me, I go there.
mm,
They don't want. I mean, it's nice to have a Philly office. It looks nice on a business card, and oh, you're right here, right now, square, and all that stuff. Looks great, like to have a little gravitas or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's not. It's just that. It's almost like ego. Like, yeah, it's not necessary. Like,
it's
I'm spending money.
it's almost as edifying as me standing next to my rented Bentley on Instagram.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Well, no, it's like it's a homage of how times are changing.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I care
Wow.
about what's in my pocket, not. I know how I service my clients. I know what they're looking for,
So
and it doesn't necessarily mean I have to be in an office in Philadelphia. It doesn't.
let's unpack that. What are people looking for today? But really, what do people need as it relates to various insurances if they're entrepreneurs and business owners? Because that's who a lot of our listeners are. They're thinking, why is that relevant to me? I'm just trying to get paid right now.
Yeah.
I need to stay alive. Okay.
So
It'd be
listen,
nice to
man.
have those kind of problems.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like insurance in general is, yes, there's products involved, right? There's products and there's design that has to go behind these things. But in the end, so as an agency ourselves, like, we have access to basically everything we need to have access to. You know what I mean? Like Arthur J. Gallagher or, Aon or whatever is not really going to have different access than I have. You know what I mean? So from a product standpoint, we have superior products, right? Secondarily, what else are people looking for? They're looking for service. They want service, right? You need, like, my phone is never off, right? So like, people need stuff, and I work with a lot of doctors in particular. So doctors are, listen, notoriously they're difficult to work with in the sense that their timing, they're all over the place. They're in the hospitals or here. So you have a finite amount of time to deal with them, right? If their time to talk to me is at 8:30 at night, well, guess what? I'm taking a call at 8:30 at night. You know what I mean? If they got to get to me at 6 o'clock in the morning before they go into the office, well, guess what? They're getting me at 6 o'clock in the morning. So if they got to get me on a Saturday because they don't have a call on Saturday or Sunday, well, they call me on Saturday and Sunday, whatever it might be. So from a service standpoint, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what our business is really service. Yes, we have products. You have to have really good products. Obviously, you have to have the plethora of products to provide, because it's, you can't just jam like a round peg into a square hole. You have to have what's right for the client. So that's first. Second is the service end of it, right? You have to be taking calls. My partner takes calls. Like, everybody feels everything. Emails come in, I answer them right away. Like on the weekend, 9 o'clock at night, 3, whenever it comes in. You know what I mean? So
Proactive.
you got to be proactive about it. And then, I don't know, thirdly is, you got to make sure that you're there for your clients. Like, that's what they want. I mean, part of service, I guess, but they want to make sure that they're being taken care of. Like, they want to know, like, I just went through, like, just to give you an example, I went through like a really nasty renewal cycle for the May 1 renewal. So like basically for the months leading up to May, because medical malpractice in Pennsylvania has gone through a drastic change in January because they changed some laws. And because of that, it's causing insurance carriers to raise the rates to compensate for the law changes that just occurred. And it's called venue shopping. It's really where you can file lawsuits for medical malpractice claims. So they've made it more loose. It's easier to go into a more litigious county. So basically, if you got injured in Montgomery County, for example, they're basically allowing you to go into Philadelphia to sue, which makes it better for the plaintiff. Yeah, which is bad for doctors, good for the plaintiff. You know what I mean?
Everything would get more expensive, I would think.
Exactly. There's a higher. You're going to get higher frequency of claims in these more litigious counties that are more favorable to plaintiffs, and then you're going to get higher awards. So that's bad for the insurance companies, right? Because the insurance companies have to pay those claims. So because of that, the premiums on the medical malpractice has gone up dramatically since January. So that's created an issue for me because I have to make sure that my clients are getting the best rate that's available.
Could there be scenario then in that where some clients might make the mistake to think, let me just not do it right now, but then they get sued and then they're done.
So the insurance, the insurance,
keeping it.
Well, no, so the insurance carriers are, look, if you have coverage, you have coverage. Like Pennsylvania's 1 million, 3 million, so $1 million per claim and $3 million in the aggregate, right? So you, as a physician in Pennsylvania, you have to carry that. So the carriers, if they have it, they're gonna be carried. I mean, if they're, they have to have that type of coverage
to actually be in business.
You can't practice without it. You have to.
Okay,
have
got it.
You have to have it. So what's going to happen now is that like the rates are going to go up. But so we've had carriers along the way. It's been a very soft market for the last 15, 20 years, right? Soft market meaning it's more in the favor of the buyer, the insured, instead of the insurer. They had more leverage to negotiate, really. So now as the market gets harder, right? These are the terms within insurance, a harder market. So now the changes to the insurer. The insurer has more leverage than the insured. So now the insurer is going to start to dictate price, right? Not the insured, where they can negotiate better rates.
And what did you say? That's because of things, the risk going up.
Yeah, so right, the risk is going up. Yeah, exactly. So the risk of being sued in a more litigious county has gone up. So therefore, the insurance carriers have to take more premium to account for that. So all this is a long way of getting to the point, but because of this law change that just occurred in January of 2023, all the carriers are going up. They're going up, right? So what happened was in April, we had a lot of really big renewals coming up, and they took some significant increases. So in the end, what the result was, they ended up staying where they're at, but only because we went through all of the work, which was a lot of work, to figure out to get to that point to say, listen, carrier's good carrier, the prices are basically going to be this or higher. Going to another carrier, you're in a pretty good spot ultimately. You know what I mean? So, but you have to go through. That's part of the service. You have to go through that for the clients to understand. Hey, listen, we got a good carrier. It was an increase, but not as much as some of these other ones. And then this is what it would look like if you moved. And we have access to all the markets, so we can really do a good job of like spreading it across to see what that's going to look like. So that's when back to the service part. That's what I'm talking about. This is providing. They want to know they're in a good spot. They want good service, and they want to know that you're taking care of them. And then you need to have the product too. So that's what it's all about. Right? That's what our industry is all about. I guess that's every business. Every business is like that. I guess whether you're doing law or you're selling widgets on the corner or whatever you're doing. I mean, ultimately you have to have product. You got to serve your clients properly, and they got to know they can trust you, and you're going to be there for them. It's really, what else is there? You know what I mean?
Well, there's lying, cheating, and stealing. You want to try?
Well, yeah, I mean, right.
Yeah,
but you'll cease to exist after that. You know what I mean? So.
Well, what do you think the reason is one would cease to exist? Let's play devil's advocate, right? Not like it's like always in Jacoby. I get this from Charlie Munger. Always invert. If you try the opposite, don't have good products.
Right.
Don't take care of your clients. Don't over deliver. Then what happens, Ant? Like what?
If your business model is to succeed, you'll succeed in failing. That's the model. That's what happens. That's really it.
What do you think is well, I'd like to know, because this is coming out in 2023. It's a weird, there's uncertainty. I've had many conversations. People don't know what to think or some, so like, what's your take on the economy, or what you're seeing in the trenches, having conversations with business owners, whether doctors or not, and you're a consummate networker. What are you feeling out there? Boots on the ground, belly to belly.
I mean, listen, it's never good to be like a negative Nelly, I guess. You know what I mean? Especially in business, you can't be that way. I mean, listen, listen, inevitably certain industries are going to be impacted, right? It's just things like that happen. You go through cycles of businesses. Certain things are going to affect certain industries differently. You know what I mean? So that's always the case, no matter good times, bad times. You know, what's good for somebody at one time is bad for somebody else. That's the ebbs and flows of business. You know what I mean? But in generalities, I mean, listen, I think we have some challenges economic. Listen, I'm no like economist. I follow the markets. You know, I used to be a trader, like I was saying before. So I follow the markets like very closely. I read constantly about the markets and just love it. You know what I mean? It's just part of it's just in me. You know what I mean? So listen, I think we may be in for there's going to be some pain in general. I think that's my own personal opinion. You know, certainly like I said, no economist, but just a general sense. But that doesn't mean you can't still thrive. It doesn't mean you still can't see. Maybe it slows it down a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. You know, maybe you need money. Maybe it's too expensive right now just to get money. You know what I mean? Like it may impact some people, but there's always ways to push through it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's been businesses at all points in time of our economic ebbs and flows, you know what I mean? During depressions and during recessions, and people survived and they make it through. Maybe you gotta be a little more cognizant of what you're doing, how you're doing it. But there's always ways to succeed. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was, I don't know, 6 months ago. I saw you online. It was like you were kind of famous for a second. What was going on over there? I saw you with our buddy LB, who's about to launch out on the podcast. Just did a show. Dude. Shout out to our buddy Lance. I saw you on the social media, and I thought, oh, Ant's doing it. He's blowing it up, man. You have the everything for you. You are a pundit. That's what I'm trying to say. and I saw you on there. So, you know, what was that experience like? You know, he's Lance the Mover, a shaker, mutual friend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cameras following around. What do you think? What's the experiment? What's going on? What's happening?
Well, I mean, Lance, I've known Lance.
We all just wasting our time doing this. That's my curiosity.
Nah, you know? Man.
Are we just wasting our time just talking to ourselves? Two people are listening right now.
Nah, man, listen. Lance is a good dude, man. I've known him for a long time. You know, loosely, like a long time ago, just same neighborhoods and whatnot, but whatever. But you know, listen, he's a very open person to talk to. He's willing to help anybody. He's a great dude. I mean, frankly, he's a great dude. So I reached out to him because he knows me, I know him. You know what I mean? So he invited me up to his office a couple of times to talk. I was really going to like pick his brain about some business. I mean, listen, he's been extremely successful. You have to follow success, right? You follow, and if he's willing to speak to me about it, you know what I mean? I was like, you know, let me go talk to him. I mean, he's a great guy. He's very easy to talk to. He's done very well for himself, and you know, you try to pick up tidbits, and you know, just you know, you are the people you surround yourself with, right? That's ultimately, you know, what did oh my God, his name's skipping me right now, but you know, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You know what I mean? Type thing.
Yeah, well,
it's Dan something. It's Dan. I'll think of his name, but I was following him for a while.
Dan Pena.
Yeah, Pena. That's it.
That guy he's hilarious.
He's nuts. I love him. I love him.
So yeah, how important has mentorship or been over the years in your success, would you say? Extremely important. I mean, listen, you literally are the people you are around. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you're around a bunch of losers, you're gonna be a loser. If you're around a bunch of successful, you'll be successful, right? It's almost inevitable. You know what I mean? You pick up from their
from everything they do. You learn from them like constantly. You know what I mean? So you were doing it early on. You were talking to all sorts of people, right? You're still doing it. I'm still doing
Running
it.
around sweating.
Yeah, man. It's part of the game. Part of what
Running
we have to do.
around sweating. Three.
It's extremely important, man. You know it. You know it as well as I do. You know what I mean? I'm sure everybody's successful. Like Lance, I'm sure probably had some people to look after. Everybody's had somebody to follow. Early on, it was my dad. My dad had a business early on. My oldest brother.
Garage,
Yeah,
right?
auto repair. Yeah.
1974 he started.
Yeah, it was very basic type business, but hard work nonetheless. And you learn from that. I was working with him when I was a kid, and you see that was like my start of it. And then there's more. I got to college and this and that, and we started our own trading offices, and we got to learn on our own. And then we looked after the guys that owned our bigger office, our trading office. So we owned our office, and then there was a big umbrella office around us, and we learned from those guys. And then you go on to do your own things. I had mentors at the last place I was at. Was partnered with a couple guys. It's just you're constantly learning.
Do you think that we if we don't, I guess my question is like, do you think we try to move too quickly sometimes? Or like things just take time? Not that we shouldn't move quickly, like work hard or make it happen. But how important is the timepiece? Just staying in the game.
I think you got to stay in the win, right? In it to win it. You got to be in it to win it, right? You got to stay. You got to be able to sustain. To be like being in.
Like I thought of that with Culture Matters. Like I just need to not quit for a decade.
Right.
Because just by being in it longer, people are giving me more opportunities.
Sure, of course.
He's still around. He's still doing it.
Yeah, he's still around.
I was at McCann's office, the new one in the main line a couple weeks ago, and someone there was like, "What are you doing now?" I'm like, "The same thing."
Same thing.
And people are so surprised, like, "Oh, you didn't fail? You didn't fail?" It's like, no, I'm still doing the same thing.
Anybody that's been in the business has gone through the same thing. They've been in it, they're stubborn, they stayed in it, and then they, hopefully succeeded with it.
Is there a sense of pride though? Like, yeah, I'm curious, selfish. Like we've known each other a long time, and we started similar times, kind of the business. This version.
Yeah, right.
You have pride around just we've made it this far. It's kind of cool. I don't know if you think.
I'll put it this way: how many guys do you know that became overnight successes? Probably very little.
Only all the influencers I follow.
Touche.
No, it's like
Yeah, listen. Honestly, like how many people that have been like have and success can be defined in a lot of different ways, but how many people that have succeeded in business, quote unquote succeed? You can define that however you want, but how many have become successful overnight? Not many.
There's just and I think there's unlimited levels, right? Like if we just compare, and that's good to compare because you have to compare to aim at something.
Sure, of course.
And then if like ultimately it's like I'm proud of staying in the game and continue to do. Think about the podcast. You were episode 12.
It's crazy.
It's like episode probably 170 something.
Wow. It's a lot.
Just to
stay in the game. Stay in the game, man. That's what it's about. Stay in the game.
What are you most excited about for 2024 outside of the I'm just now laughing outside of any elections? What are you most excited for in 2024, right? Let's say we close this year out on an upswing. What are you most excited about? And it could be anything: business, family, life.
Yeah, personally, listen, I got things going on personally. I got married in August. We're having a baby in September, so that's exciting.
Do you have a name yet, or can I ask
No, we don't even know. We didn't find out what the sex of the baby is either. So we're just going.
Well, at some point it'll choose.
It'll know what it wants to be.
All right, that's me. I just lost a lot. I just screwed up the culture right with that joke. Yeah, seriously, what are you excited about for 2024? Business, personal?
Yeah, well, that's the one big thing. I'll be a new father, first time, so that's exciting. And then
congratulations.
I appreciate that, man. business, we're just looking to, I'm looking to get into different lines of insurance that I never really wanted to touch before, but I'm at a point where I think I'm ready for it. So I'm looking to do that. Yeah, man, just finding other revenues. One of my buddies, he's a programmer, so he helped me program a trading software. So we're gonna get that out to market probably, most likely. So that's exciting. So we got a couple things called Project Bruin that we're excited to get kind of moving forward. Got some things in my head that I want to get going for even for this year. I want to start most of it, this year and continue on until next year.
We'll have to have you on and talk about it.
Yeah.
If there's one final piece of advice that you give to our guests today, like what do they need to hear?
As far as, you want to say, but with business in general?
Sure.
Listen, I can't stress enough that, you shouldn't, 9 to 5s are nice, but you're at will. And that stuff can, if you have it in you to go do something on your own, I would say give it a whirl. You can't, if you have a background, you can always go back to it. I hate to even think that way, to even be like, if I fail, like it should really be not, there should be no option B, like B option. You should really, if you really want to do it, you go after it, you should really just, that should be it. There should be no second option, but I would encourage people to go take a shot, especially in these environments. Things are changing, man. It's like you can find ways to make money anyway anymore. It's like digital stuff. I'm not at all in like too good with all that stuff, but there's just so many ways to make money anymore. It's like, if you have it in you to go do your own thing, go do it. Go do it. Take a shot. That's like, I'm going to have I don't know, son or daughter. I don't know yet, but I don't even know, I'm not dogging education. I have higher education. I went to, Jay, I know but you're extremely educated. You're well-read. Like, you know what I mean? So like even education from a standpoint, like formal education, like going to college, I don't know if it's worth it. I got to be honest. I don't know if it's worth it unless you're going to be the doctor, surgeon, where you have to, I have an engineering degree to do those type of things. Okay. You have to have that education, but if you have no intention on doing that, I got to be honest. I don't even know I'm not saying this to dissuade anybody from going to college. I'm just saying sometimes there could be other avenues and you should explore everything, I think. Even if my son or daughter wanted to, not go to college, I would take them seriously and see what they want to do. You know what I mean? The risk, the ROI is not there anymore right now, right? You go to a college, you go to if you try to, I went to Villanova, right? And right now it costs like $75,000 or $80,000 to go there. They're not starting at, $100,000 salaries. You're coming out, you're making your $50,000, $60,000. Like that ROI is just not there anymore. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you can go to cheaper state schools. They're good too. Penn State, great school. You know what I mean? You can always do that, but I would always encourage to look at some other avenues of making a living. Do something you're passionate about. Do something that, I fell into what I do, right? I was an engineer and I fell into trading and then gravitated into the insurance world at some point. So it was like a natural progression for me. You know what I mean? So I just do what you're passionate about. Make it worthwhile. Enjoy what you're doing.